Our devotional today is taken from John chapter 8. At dawn, he appeared again in the temple courts where all the people gathered around him, and he sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery. In the law of Moses, we are commanded to stone such women. Now, what do you say?" They were using this question in order to trap him, to have a basis for accusing him. But Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. When they kept questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Again, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away, one at a time, the older ones first, until only Jesus was left, with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked the woman, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Go now and leave your life of sin." No doubt that this would be a very popular story in today's day and age. It's always good to see old white guys getting schooled, and particularly to see them getting schooled by Jesus. And that certainly is a major part of this story, as we see these men brought this woman caught in adultery to Jesus. They did not have her interest in mind at all. They did not care about this woman. They treated her as an object. They were using her as an instrument to try and trip up Jesus. And they never thought twice about her or how she might be feeling. And Jesus responds with this simple challenge. Okay, you say that the scripture says that we are to stone a woman caught in adultery. Let the person without sin cast the first stone. And the interesting thing about that is, in one way, you could say that Jesus was taking a risk. He had no way of knowing that the people gathered would understand the implications of what he was saying. But Jesus said it in such a way that each and every man that had been gathered there knew exactly what Jesus was implying. And not one of them, beginning with the oldest men first, could bring themselves to throw a stone. In fact, they walked away quietly. And I think that is because the older men were first to pick up on what Jesus was saying, in that if they were without sin, they could throw the stone. But if they had sin in their lives, they couldn't. And Jesus might very well have been referring to the sin of adultery, and how even if many of those men would not have committed adultery, they may have committed the sin of adultery in their heart as Jesus understands it. And so we see that this woman is all alone with Jesus now. And Jesus says to her, "Where are they? Where are your accusers? Are there any left?" And she says, "No." And then he said, "Well, then neither do I condemn you." And so Jesus, by implication, was saying that he was actually in a place where if he chose to, he could cast the first stone. And so this is a very popular concept in our culture today. The old white guys, the people in power, need to be held account for the way they treat those outside of the realm of power. But power has come to have a very different meaning in our day and age. And we celebrate the victim. But Jesus does something more for this woman. He gives her the dignity of actually being a full person. It's all well and good to claim to be a victim, but that does not change our accountability towards God. And while Jesus did not condemn this woman, he left her with the challenge, and that was to go and leave your life of sin. we want to point the finger at the other person. We want to point the finger at a group of people who we think are evil and are holding us back from achieving what we want, or leaving us out of positions of power and influence. But that in itself will not cure our problem. Each and every one of us, no matter our race, our color, our gender, all of us need to be reconciled to God. And so Jesus did the ultimate thing for this woman, and he did it by challenging her. I'm not going to condemn you, but if you want life, if you want real life, you need to leave your life of sin. I think this is a powerful message that really needs to be heard today. So I hope that's encouraged you. God bless.